When stranded on a frozen alien moon, ex-soldier Cale Drake thought he'd freeze to death alone. Then the snowstorm opened, and she stepped in. The blizzard howled across the surface of Zenthra 9, a moon wrapped in ice and silence. Cale Drake pressed his back against the titanium hull of his escape pod, flickering with dying energy. His fingers, wrapped in tattered gloves, trembled, not just from cold, but from the creeping hopelessness. He'd been part of Spear Unit 47, deployed to scout abandoned Cormith ruins. The mission was standard, until orbital defenses, ancient and hostile, woke up. Now Kyle was the only one alive. Maybe shelter protocol failed. The pod's AI slurred, voice degrading. Power critical. He cursed under his breath fogging into the freezing air. Night was falling fast, and on Zenthra 9, night wasn't metaphorical. It was murderous. Temperatures dropped below survivable levels, and even in his reinforced exosuit, Cale knew his odds were ticking away. He curled inside the survival shelter he'd set up, a dome no larger than a sleeping bag, heated just enough to keep frostbite at bay. It was cramped, lonely, and barely tolerable. Then came a sound. Crunch, crunch, snow. Footsteps. Cale reached for his plasma knife, every muscle tense. The wind parted briefly, revealing a silhouette, tall, graceful, and glowing softly like starlight. Through a prism. She stepped closer, eyes gleaming violet. Not human, not even close. Her skin shimmered with iridescent blues and silvers, like moonlight made flesh. Translucent patterns pulsed along her cheeks. Her outfit, minimal, alien, but elegant, was torn and scorched, her body trembling. She collapsed just feet from him. "Damn," Cale muttered. He hesitated only a moment before crawling out, grabbing her by the arm. Warm, not ice cold, alive. Her voice was faint but melodic, vibrating in his chest rather than his ears. "Safe?" Kyle didn't understand the language, but the meaning was clear enough. He dragged her into the shelter, sealing it shut behind them. It was tight, painfully tight, but the body heat made the dome warmer. She curled against him, instinctively, burying her face into his chest like she belonged there. Cale didn't protest. He should have, probably. "You're lucky I'm not one of the bad guys," he whispered. Her large eyes slowly opened again. "Kyle, Drake, human?" He blinked. "You speak my language?" She tilted her head. "Now, yes, memory echo. Translation complete." He stared at her. "You're one of the Cormith?" "No," she said softly. "I am Luraxin of Virilai, prisoner of war, escaped." Her eyes locked with his. "You saved me. Why?" Kyle shrugged. "I was cold." "You looked colder." Luraxin touched his hand. Her fingers were slender, claw-tipped, but her grip was gentle. "Then I owe you." He felt something stir, not just attraction, though that was there, undeniable, but something deeper, a connection, strange and dangerous. Kyle closed his eyes, unsure of what he'd just invited into his shelter, or his life. But the storm outside didn't care about consequences. Neither did fate. The storm outside raged for another 7 hours. Inside the cramped shelter, Cale and Luraxin lay tangled in quiet silence. Her alien physiology seemed adapted to the cold, better than his, but even so, her body shook occasionally, betraying exhaustion. Cale, ever the soldier, didn't sleep. Not fully. His hand rested near the plasma knife tucked by his side. But as time passed, her breathing deepened, evened. No ambush, no traps. She was real and vulnerable. She murmured in her sleep in her own language, soft syllables like wind over water. Kyle didn't understand, but they didn't sound like curses. When she finally opened her eyes again, the storm had faded to a whisper. Pale sunlight filtered through the shelter's thin ceiling. "Your heart rate is elevated," Lurikson said suddenly, her voice brushing against his ear like silk. Kyle jerked slightly. "What? You haven't slept. You're afraid." "I don't sleep next to armed strangers I just met," he said, deadpan. "Nothing personal." She smiled faintly, a ripple of bioluminescent blue tracing her cheekbones. "But I'm unarmed. You saw. Everyone's armed in some way. Especially beautiful aliens." Lurikson blinked at the compliment. She leaned closer, her eyes narrowed. "Your definition of beauty is strange. I am not human. Neither was the moon I crashed on. Doesn't mean I can't appreciate the view." For a moment she looked at him like she was trying to read not just his words but his soul. "I owe you more than gratitude," she finally whispered. "I must protect you. They will come for me soon." Cale's humor vanished. "Who's coming?" "My captors. Hunters, not machines. Worse, augments." Cale's stomach dropped. Augments were genetically and cybernetically enhanced shock troops, biological weapons wrapped in armor and rage. If they were tracking her, "Why are they chasing you?" he asked. "I escaped with forbidden knowledge," Lurikson said. "A failsafe that can collapse the entire Zarkon fleet." "The Zarkon Armada?" Kyle said, stunned. "They're the ones invading the outer colonies." "Yes, their secret lies buried beneath this moon, in the Kormith ruins." Kyle sat up fast. "You're saying the thing the Union's been searching for is here?" She nodded. "And they will come to erase every trace, including us." A sound outside interrupted them. Whirring. Cale's face darkened. He reached for his scope and peered through a frost-smeared slit in the dome. 3 dark figures moved across the snow, nearly silent. No footprints, no heat signatures. "They found you," he said, voice low. "No," she corrected. "They found us." Kyle zipped open the dome and rolled out, signaling her to stay inside. "Cover me," he said instinctively, then paused. "Can you fight?" Lurikson emerged with feline grace, her hands glowing faintly. "I can do more than fight. I am a Virili memory warrior. I wield echo fire." Kyle raised an eyebrow. "Sounds poetic. Hope it explodes." The augments were closer now. Sleek armor, no faces, just weapons fused into limbs. One raised a railgun. Cale dove just as the ground beside him exploded into a geyser of white. He returned fire with precision, plasma rounds streaking through the air. One augment staggered but didn't fall. Then Lurikson moved. She dashed forward, faster than his. I could follow, and sang. A burst of energy exploded from her palms, coiling like blue lightning into the augment's chest. The creature convulsed and burst into fireless flame, like a memory erased. Kyle stared. "Remind me not to piss you off." She looked back, smiling through the chaos. "You'd enjoy the consequences too much." Another augment charged Cale, swinging a blade arm. He ducked, sliced low, and fired into its neck joint. Sparks. Collapse. The third flanked them both, but Lurikson turned, lifted a finger, and simply whispered a single word. The augment froze in place, like its mind had. "Shattered mid-command. Echo fire," she said, exhaling. "It burns the mind, not the body." Kyle looked around. The battlefield had returned to snow and silence. But Lurikson dropped to one knee, panting. "They were scouts," she said. "The main force will land soon." "How soon?" She touched the ground. 2 hours. Maybe less. Kyle reached into his pack. "Then we find that ruin and destroy whatever they're here to erase, together." She rose, her strength returning. "You fight like a human, but you protect like a Virili." He grinned. "Maybe I'm just a guy who doesn't like bullies." She stepped close, her hand on his chest plate. "Then let's kill some gods." Snow and silence stretched before them, broken only by the sharp crunch of Kale's boots and the gentle hum of Luruxen's echo fire pulse, glowing faintly from her palm like a living compass. The Cormeth ruin lay ahead, half buried beneath. Ice, jagged towers rising like broken teeth. Kyle had only seen ancient satellite images of these structures, long dismissed as decorative or ceremonial. But now he knew the truth. This place was a weapon. They reached a cracked obsidian gate, etched with alien glyphs that shimmered when Luruxen touched them. The gate opened silently, revealing a dark corridor that pulsed with dormant power. "Thought the Cormeth were extinct," Kale said, scanning for threats. "They ascended," Luruxen corrected. "Their minds detached from matter, became something between thought and light. But their weapons remained, sealed away." Kyle grunted. "Why here? Why not destroy this place?" "Because," she whispered, "this ruin contains something. The Zarkon Fear, the harmonic code, a signal that can override every augmented mind, a melody that rewrites war." Kyle frowned. "You mean, it can stop the augments?" "All of them," she said, "at once." As they moved deeper, the ruin changed. The architecture shifted like a dream, walls twisted, halls curved in impossible directions. Light flowed like water, illuminating carvings of battles, creatures, and memories encoded into stone. They entered a grand chamber. At its center hovered a crystalline orb, suspended by threads of light that vibrated in tune with Luruxen's very breath. She stepped forward, reverent. "This is it, the code." Kyle pulled out a signal dampener. "Tell me how we use it, fast. We don't have long." Luruxen placed her hands on the orb. Her body shimmered, and the orb responded, projecting a burst of harmonic light into the air. Soundless music filled the chamber, but Kale could feel it in his bones, like being inside a dream of thunder and peace at once. "The code must imprint onto a living mind," she said. "Once fused, the host becomes a living key. The closer to augment command nodes, the stronger the signal." Kyle blinked. "Let me guess. You were supposed to be the key." She hesitated. "Yes, but I am compromised. The augments already scanned me. If I carry it, they will detect it, neutralize it. So what do we do?" Her violet eyes met his. "You carry it." Kyle took a step back. "I'm just a soldier, not some chosen one." "That's what makes you perfect. You're invisible to their scans, unaugmented, undetectable. And if it kills me?" She stepped forward and placed her hands on his chest. "Then I will carry you out myself." Kyle stared into her eyes, so alien, yet more real than anything he'd seen in years. "You're serious." Luruxen smiled sadly. "We don't have time for doubt. Only choices." Kyle sighed, stripping off his outer chest plate. "Let's do this before I change my mind." She guided his hands to the orb. As soon as he touched it, pain exploded through his skull, not physical pain, but the kind that shattered logic and reformed it in patterns he couldn't comprehend. Memories not his own surged through him, wars fought in galaxies that didn't exist, songs sung in colors, tears of species long gone. He saw the first augment born, the code enslaving it, and the chains of the Zarkon Empire forged link by link across centuries. Then, silence. Kyle collapsed to his knees, gasping. "It is done," Luruxen whispered. "You are the last melody." Kyle's skin glowed faintly with runes. His voice trembled. "So, how do I use it?" "Let them come close," she said, raising her hand as a sudden alarm pulsed through the chamber. "Because they're already here." A deep rumble rocked the ruin. Stone cracked. Lights flickered. Kale scrambled to his feet as dozens of augments stormed through the corridor, led by a towering brute clad in obsidian armor, a Zarkon warlord. You are not authorized, the warlord boomed. Surrender the signal! Kale wiped blood from his nose and smirked. What, this little hum in my head? The augments lunged. Luraxen sang a single note, and her echo fire erupted. Kale, moving almost by instinct, stepped into the chaos, his presence causing resonant ripples through the attacking soldiers, the moment they got within range. They faltered, some screamed, others dropped their weapons, a few turned and fled. Kyle stumbled. It's working, but it's burning me up inside. Luraxen reached for him, her voice a whisper against the noise. Stay with me. Don't lose yourself. I'll anchor you. I'm not losing myself, Kyle growled. I'm finding out who I've always been. He raised both arms as the warlord charged, and from his fingertips burst a wave of harmonic light. The Zarkon warlord screamed, not in pain, but in disbelief, as his limbs convulsed and sparks shot from his implants. You are a virus, the warlord roared. Kale stepped closer. No, I'm the damn cure. The light surged, and with a final thunderous pulse, the warlord collapsed, his army disoriented, broken. Silence fell again. Kale dropped to his knees. Luraxen caught him, pressing her forehead to his. You did it, she said. You changed the music of war. Kale's breath came in short, ragged gasps. The harmonic code still pulsed inside his mind like a second heartbeat, louder than thought, brighter than pain. He clenched his teeth to stay conscious, to stay himself. Luraxen cradled his head in her lap as they crouched beside the defeated Zarkon warlord. His armor hissed and cracked from the inside, releasing tendrils of steam and glitching sparks. You were never meant to hold this kind of power, Lura whispered. It's rewriting. You! Faster than I expected, Kale coughed. Don't sugarcoat it. Tell me I'm glowing and mutating. You're glowing, she said, but not mutating. He managed a weak grin. I always did have good genes. She didn't smile back. Her eyes searched his, full of conflict, admiration, guilt. I should have carried it, she said. I should have. You were right, Kale interrupted, voice steady. They would have sensed it in you, and without you anchoring me, I'd already be dead. Luraxen's expression softened, but the worry never left. We need to get you to the upper node, fast. That's where the code can be fully released. Once it pulses across the system, it'll dismantle every augment connected to the network. Forever. Kale stood, legs shaky but determined. Let's finish this. They moved quickly, weaving through the vast ancient corridors. The deeper they went, the more the ruin felt. Alive. Walls shimmered. Glyphs whispered in forgotten dialects. Kyle swore he could feel the thoughts of long-dead architects pressing into his mind. But something else pressed harder. The code itself. He started to see flickers. Visions. A child on a red planet reaching for his mother. A soldier watching the stars fall. A song sung at the edge of the universe by a people who had no mouths, just souls. Kyle, Luraxen said gently, squeezing his hand. You're drifting. He blinked. I'm good. Just dizzy from all the memories that aren't mine. They reached the core chamber. The upper node hovered in the center, an enormous crystalline structure that rotated slowly, suspended by an anti-gravity ring. Blue-white light pulsed from it in rhythmic waves. This is it, Lura said. Upload the code here. It will travel through the subspace ley lines. Hit every Zarkon-controlled world. Disable every augment. Kyle nodded, then froze. From behind them came the sound of something heavy, something alive, stalking forward. Of course, Kale muttered. There's always a final boss. From the shadows emerged a prime augment, unlike any they'd seen. It stood 3 meters tall, its armor fused with Cormeth relic tech. Its arms were adorned with glowing conduits. Its voice, when it spoke, was layered with echoes. You are the last virus. I am the firewall. Prepare to be purged. Kyle raised his arms, But this time the harmonic energy sputtered, flickering like a dying signal. Luraxin's eyes widened. You're too far gone. The code is unraveling. Inside you, fighting your mind for control. Then we've got one shot, Kyle said, stepping toward the Prime. I get close, I release the code directly. No upload, full burn. You'll die, she whispered. He turned back, smiled. Maybe, but a good death. For a soldier, for a free galaxy. That's worth it. She stepped toward him. You're not doing this alone. No, he said firmly. If you come near the node, it'll sense both of us and activate countermeasures. You're the only one who can pull me back if this fails. For a moment, the warrior in her fought. The woman. But then, slowly, she nodded. Kale turned back to the Prime. Come on, you overgrown toaster, he growled. Let's dance. The Prime lunged, faster than anything that size should be. Its blade arm slashed down. Kyle dodged, rolled, released a shockwave of harmonic light that knocked the thing off balance. The node reacted. Its core lit up. Kyle ran straight into the center, into the light, and screamed as the code fully. Unleashed, the Prime struck. Too late. A pulse erupted from Kyle's chest. Like a bell struck in another dimension. Reality rippled. The Prime staggered, roaring, its systems failing. Across the galaxy, augments collapsed mid-march. Warlords screamed as their fleets fell silent. Entire battalions froze, freed from control, some weeping, some just falling to their knees. In the chamber, Kale dropped. The light faded. Luraxin rushed to him. Kyle! He was limp, barely breathing. Skin pale, veins glowing. She pulled him into her arms. He opened his eyes, faintly. You win? He rasped. You won, she whispered. Kyle chuckled. Told you I was good genes. And then, darkness. Darkness. Then light. Kale floated in a dream. Not in space, not in time. Just sensation. He heard music, his own heartbeat, but changed. Softer, harmonized. No pain, no fear, just peace. A voice reached him, not with words, but with feeling. Lura, he, opened his eyes slowly. Above him was a crystal sky, shifting colors like oil on water. He wasn't in the ruin. He wasn't even on Varela. He was somewhere between. Kyle. He turned his head. Luraxin stood there, wearing her armor, but without her weapons. Her eyes were wet. Her hands trembled as she knelt beside him. Where are we? He asked. This is a construct, she said softly. A harmonic echo. You overloaded. The node so violently, it pulled your consciousness into the frequency field instead of letting you die. So, I'm a ghost? No, she said, her fingers brushing his cheek. You're alive, but only just. I pulled your body out, stabilized you in cryo. This place, this echo, is keeping your mind safe until your body recovers. Kyle exhaled. And the war? It's over, she said. You ended it. She explained what happened in the days after. The Prime augment fell, its last cry silenced by the harmonic wave. Across the Zarkon Empire, augment units disconnected from the Hive network. Some self-terminated, others wept in confusion. A few turned against their former masters. Rebellion ignited in every corner of the galaxy. Worlds once enslaved rose up. Entire fleets surrendered. And the Zarkon leadership, once untouchable, crumbled without their loyal augments to enforce their will. And as for the code, it continued pulsing in Kale's veins, even in cryo, resonating across distant satellites and buried ruins. The weapon had become a guardian song, a warning. Never again. Kyle sat up slowly, still in the dreamlike construct. So what now? Do I live in this concert forever? No, she smiled. You rest. And when your body's ready, I'll wake you. He looked at her for a long moment. You didn't have to stay with me. You could have gone, led the uprising, became a queen or something. She leaned closer, their foreheads touching. I didn't want a crown. She whispered. I wanted you. Kyle chuckled. You sure about that? I snore. I know. I heard you in the sleeping bag, remember? They laughed, and the crystal sky responded, echoing the joy across the construct like ripples in a dream. He leaned back. So, we won? We did, she said. But at what cost? He asked, glancing at his flickering hands, as if made of light and dust. She kissed him gently, her voice steady. At the cost of what was, for the sake of what can be. Months later, on the liberated world of New Ethereon, crowds filled the ancient plaza. A statue stood in the center, Kale Rain, depicted with arms outstretched, his body surrounded by harmonic waves, his face determined. Luraxin stood before it, holding a child's hand. The girl looked up. Is that the man from the story? Mama? Lura smiled. Yes, the man who let an alien beauty into his sleeping bag and changed the galaxy. The child giggled. I want to meet him. You will, Lura said. He's coming back. Far above, aboard a medical orbital station, Kale's cryo chamber glowed gently. Inside, his chest rose and fell with quiet rhythm. Monitors pulsed softly, heartbeat syncing with the lingering harmony in his blood. His mind stirred, his fingers twitched. Kale Rain was waking up. The end, or the beginning? He gave her warmth when she had only frost. She gave him purpose when he had only war. Together, they sparked a revolution. Enjoyed the journey? Drop a comment with your favorite moment, and don't forget to follow for more romantic HFY sci-fi sagas.